Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. Tonight, I just got done watching the newest Glen Powell film, How to Make a Killing. In this film, a young woman that's part of a very wealthy family accidentally gets knocked up, and the family's pretty much like, we don't want any of our children to have kids before the age of 21, so either you give up the kid, get an abortion, or you leave this family and go and do whatever you want. And she wants to raise this kid, so she leaves the family and tries to raise this kid in poverty, but she winds up getting sick and dying. But before she dies, she lets young Glen Powell know that if he was to be the last surviving member of her wealthy family that doesn't care about them, he would still get that inheritance. They are still part of that will, whether they're a part of the family or not. And when she does pass away, he winds up growing up to essentially want revenge. None of them ever helped his mother, and he now knows that if all of the other cousins that he has are to die, he's going to inherit billions upon billions of dollars. He takes it upon himself to create a scheme to kind of go after each one of these people one by one and pick them off in ways that look like an accident. So he's the last one left and will get the inheritance money that was promised to him by his mother and get to live the life that she never had. In a lot of ways, this movie plays like a Scarface or a Wolf of Wall Street or 500 Days of Summer, where we really are watching the rise of this man due to his talents, but then the downfall of his greed. Whereas in someone like Jordan Belfort, winds up getting into stocks and he winds up becoming really good at it and creating his own firm and becoming a billionaire, but because of the drugs and alcohol and the booze and the greed for more and more and more money with what he has never being enough, he winds up bringing the downfall upon himself and becoming violent and hitting his wife and winds up losing his entire empire. And Scarface, it's the same exact thing. He winds up bringing the downfall of himself to the point where he gets killed at the end. In this, Glen Powell starts the movie very poor, working at like a suit shop where he hangs and folds suits in like a really fancy district of Manhattan. And as he starts picking off people one by one that are a part of his family, he starts getting close to other family members. He picks off this one kid, and because of it, he gets close with that kid's father, which is his uncle, and that uncle winds up giving him a job at a firm where he becomes a very successful whatever he does, like selling stocks or whatever Glen Powell does in this movie. He gets really successful in it, winds up getting like a nice penthouse, makes a lot of money, gets a nice car. He winds up falling in love with this woman who is also in Iron Fist. She is amazing in this. He winds up getting everything he always wanted, but because he has this vendetta and this greed to be the person to inherit these billions of dollars, this amazing life that he achieves initially isn't enough, and we slowly start to watch the downfall of him in the second half of this movie. The first half is a lot of fun. It plays very chaotically and entertaining, and it's all these cool creative ways how he gets close to these people, and all of the creative ways that when he does get close to them, how he kills them in ways that look like accidents. It does play like a high-octane, high-energy film. But in the second half of the movie, when people start to catch on to the fact that all these people started to die when he started getting close to the family, the FBI starts getting involved in questioning him, it turns more into like a thriller where, everything starts to unravel when all the fingers get pointed at him, and you start to wonder if he's going to make it out or not. And look, I said this movie's a lot like Wolf of Wall Street, a lot like Scarface, a lot like 500 Days of Summer. You've seen this formula done before. That being said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I really like this film, and it's a testament to two things. The first thing is that Glen Powell is just so likable. And I know a lot of people complain that he's not a star because all the movies he's in outside of Anyone But You don't really make a lot of money. And sure, he made a lot of money with Top Gun Maverick, but he wasn't the star that Tom Cruise and Miles Teller was. I do think that Glen Powell is a great leading man. He just needs to build a little bit more of a resume and prove to people that he's more than just a one-trick pony. He is incredibly charismatic in everything that he's in. He just has an on-screen presence where you can't take your eyes off of him. And it's also a testament to how good of an actor he is, because in this movie, he plays such a vile person where he is killing his own family members for the sake of money with like absolutely no remorse. But he plays it so charismatically, like a Joe Goldberg from the show You, where it's just, you can't help but root for the guy, even though he's so vile. And it's because of how good Glen Powell is at getting you to like him with his smile and with his composure and the way he conducts himself. And you just have a blast watching him figure out how he's going to get close to these people and kill them. The second thing that I really enjoyed about this movie is it kind of takes a heel turn in the last act of the film, where a lot of these movies always ends in a very similar fashion where the person gets their due justice. But this movie really leaves you guessing until the very last frame of the film, and I thought that it was a really refreshing way to end a movie like this in an otherwise oversaturated market of films that are like this, because we have thousands of movies about the downfall of people when they're the main character. But they took a different approach here, and it felt fresh, and I didn't see it coming, and it made me leave the theater feeling like I was just, like I had my expectations subverted, and I really liked that. Now, there are some things that happen in this movie that prevent me from saying it's a perfect film. It is really hard for a movie to be a perfect film, because a lot of the times when you're making a movie, you have to kind of bend the laws of reality or logic to make things feel more cinematic, to let the actor get from point A to point B, to let the killer catch up to the hot blonde running down the road. She needs to trip over herself so the killer can catch up. They tend to do things like that. Things like that happen here, where he's doing all of these things and the FBI is way too forgiving of all of the stuff they find out about him. There are so many times in this movie where they come to him and they're like, 4 people in this family have died since you've known them, and you've been seen with all of them, and you've been seen in really close proximity to them during the times that they died. And he's like, oh yeah, but I wasn't there. And they're like, okay, fair enough. And they just let him go. Like, the FBI and the cops are way too, like, they're willing to look past all of the evidence that they have to let him just keep going and keep killing. And it did feel a little lazy that there wasn't more of a spotlight on him. The fact that the family didn't intervene sooner when they learned that this dude was all over their family member before they died. There's also some things that I had a little bit of an issue with his love interest, which, don't get me wrong, I love. It's the girl from Iron Fist, and I'm so upset that I forgot her name because she's such a phenomenal actress. But she starts this movie off as certain character type with certain beliefs, and she ends it in a way that I didn't think was very satisfying for her character. She was way too willing to sacrifice all of the things she stood for to be with Glen Powell, and maybe it's just a testament to the fact that he is such a charismatic guy, but I didn't really like the way that they handled her character. But by far, the biggest crime of this movie, and it's not necessarily that they were bad in the movie, but just the lack of them was what made it bad, but that's Margot Qualley. She is from Substance, and she was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and she was in The Nice Guys. She is a remarkable actress, and every time she's on screen, my eyes light up like a football stadium, and she's so phenomenal in everything that she is. Like, she's just such a wonderful actress, and she's in the movie for maybe a total of like 10 minutes, but she's such a driving force behind everything that Glen Powell does, and I just wish we got to see more of her. So the movie isn't perfect, but it subverts your expectations in really excellent ways. There's some great action in it in the last act, which I was not expecting. A little game of cat and mouse in a house. There's some great comedy, great creative kills. It's a high energy film, so you're having fun from start to finish. It's really hard to find anything negative to say about this movie outside of the logic problems with the SWAT and the lack of Margot Qualley. I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10. I really thought it was a great time. It's my favorite thing I've seen Glen Powell in. I feel like he's had the most range in this. Maybe this is tied with him in Devotion with Jonathan Majors, but I do think that this is his best role yet. I had a blast with it. I can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray and see it again, and I'm really curious to know what all of you guys think. I'm curious to know if this review has swayed your opinion on whether or not you want to see it. Did you even know that this was a thing? It's a smaller independent film by A24. That's another thing. It's an A24 film, so you know it's going to have some sort of quality to it because they've been pumping out bangers lately. But let me know what you guys think. Let's talk about it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next time.